Hi guys. Okay, so I was just on Jason's Show TV this morning doing one pot pasta. And it's hard to cook on TV because it's like obviously you got things to come to temperature and you have 4 minutes. But the dish that I made, I'm just in love with. It was so good and it's so versatile and it would be great for families. It's called one pot pasta. I did a lemon ricotta version. Here's what it looks like finished. It's got lemon, it's got ricotta, it's got arugula. I used a little spinach too. You could alternate those greens. But basically, the thing that's so amazing about it is that you're cooking it in, again, one pot. So my computer's there because I just got off the show. But I started this dish, so I thought I'd finish it with you. And what it is you've got 4 cups of broth, you've got lemon zest, lemon juice, and you've got that with salt and pepper inside this pot that has bow tie or farfalle pasta in it. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna get that cooked up for about 10 to 12 minutes. I don't think it's done yet. I should probably test it though with a fork. I started it during the show and I bought this newfangled cooktop here because you know what? I think I might do some cooking classes, or not classes, but experiences we'll call them. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm pretending to be some fancy chef because I'm not, because my noodles are still so what? Al dente. Oh, they're like chewy. So anyway, but I thought if I bought this little handy contraption here, then I could have some cooking experiences that I could do from my counter, whether it be by Zoom or whether having people into my kitchen. So if that's something that interests you, just DM me because that would be, it's on my list of things to do this year, but it's risky. It's risky to learn new technology and get it all happening. But I was like, gosh, everybody else is doing this. I should probably do it too. So anyway, we are making our pasta. When it's done, what we're gonna do is just stir in a lot of delicious things. So I've got cream, I've got ricotta, which makes it super creamy, super delicious. I like to add a little sour cream too. I kind of like that tart, bright flavor. We've got a lot of lemon juice in there already. We've got parm, of course. Who doesn't love parm? And then we'll have parsley. And then you stir in arugula, or I also have spinach too. So if your family prefers spinach, you can do so many things with this, you guys. You could put asparagus in it while the noodles are cooking. You could put frozen broccoli in while the noodles are cooking. You could cut up little chicken breasts into small pieces and put them in while the noodles are cooking. So you're almost like poaching the chicken. It would be completely done by the time the noodles were done if you cut it into small enough pieces, say like 1 inch to 1/2 inch. They'd be cooked through, and then you do all your mix-ins and you've got everything in there. So that could be a delicious idea too. Let's check our pasta again. By cooking the pasta in the water by cooking the pasta in broth, not water, that is salted, you are really flavoring the pasta, and then afterwards you're building on the dish to add all these types of flavors in. My whole kitchen right now smells like lemon and garlic, which are 2 of my favorite smells. But by, again, one pot, you really have a lot less dishes, and it doesn't look like it because, of course, I'm doing TV cooking and I had to make one and now I'm making another. But really, it's pretty handy and it's super versatile. So another recipe I have on my website that I did is with mushrooms and sage. So again, I like to add a lot of fresh herbs to these dishes because it really lightens up the sort of heaviness of the cream. But you could add peas to that too. And then I have another dish that I did that's tomato based. So you cook the pasta in chicken broth water, but also you add marinara in there. So you are cooking the pasta right in the red sauce, and then you add chopped artichokes, you add Kamada olives, you add red onions, you add capers, and you get kind of a puttanesca, more of a vibrant vinegary type dish, which is good for people that like red sauce. So let's see what we got here. It's still bubbling away in my fancy Le Creuset that my mom got me when I got married. It's my favorite pan. They're really expensive, but they're so worth it. This is kind of a strange, this contraption that I'm using is heating up really fast and super hot. So the pasta is like sticking to the bottom, which doesn't normally happen when you've got a more even cooking situation. But let's just see how our noodles are doing. Pretty good. All right. Pretty good. You can see most of the water has been absorbed in the noodles. And I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in the mix-ins. Again, I've already added lemon juice here. I did add a little bit of salt, but I think I'm gonna add more salt and more pepper. Now this is where it gets dicey, friends, because I only have one hand. And that was me just spilling salt. So bear with me. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I'm going to add a third of a cup of cream. And again, you've already got some liquid in your pot, so you don't have to be too concerned about everything getting too watery. I've got my ricotta that I've put in there. I have a little bit of sour cream. And again, I just like it because it's a little more acidy, sour, but it still gives you that creamy consistency. And then we've got Parm cheese, but I'm gonna go ahead and stir this together so that I can get a sense of how cheesy I want it. If it's a little watery for you, it will thicken up if it sits a bit, but you can also just keep boiling and the pasta will boil off the water. So I would say she's a little loose, but again, if I just keep cooking this, the pasta will keep absorbing. And if I let it sit for any length of time, this is what it ends up looking like, where it's really all come together and there's no liquid in there at all. So don't be worried if you get a little bit of liquid, just keep boiling away. All right, so I am gonna put my Parmesan cheese. And I have more than I need there. Sometimes you get too crazy with the parm. I'm gonna add all the rest of this lemon zest I have because there's some still left in the bowl. I am going to add parsley and arugula. So here's about a third of a cup of parsley. I like parsley. I think it gives a good flavor and it's always pretty. And then I'm gonna throw in a couple handfuls of arugula. And I'm gonna do this one-handed. And then I'm just gonna stir it up again and you'll see how kind of everything gets incorporated. And it'll have the lemon juice, the ricotta. All these recipes are on stephaniesdish.com with all the recipes that I do. So if you ever have any questions, you can find them there. And I have a newsletter too. It's free, and every Monday I release a new recipe. So if you like the kind of recipes that I do and think that you'd like to follow that, go ahead and find that on my website as well. Okay, so you can see the arugula is really starting to melt in. It's getting thicker by boiling it and putting all the other cheese and ingredients in there, so it's not as watery. And I'm gonna put a little bit more arugula in. I did put about 2 handfuls, but this is the pot for me, and arugula is my favorite. If I was making it for kids, I might do spinach or mix it up. And I'm gonna stir this up and then I'm ready to plate it up. It's a delicious one-pot meal. And it is super, super good. Who doesn't love creamy pasta, right? Okay, so we're all set. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along at stephaniesdish.com and also for following the Jason Show when I do cooking segments. You guys are so nice. And Weekly Dish.